Hey, everybody, this is Heidi St. John. Welcome to the intersection of faith and culture. I'm here with my friend Michael Farris today, and we're going to be talking about a new project that I'm really excited about. You guys know my love for this country and my deep concern that we are not teaching kids either the right history of this nation or that they have a responsibility, a duty to engage politically. And today we're going to talk about civics. You guys are going to love this conversation. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. As you can see, I'm recording this from the floor of the National Religious Broadcasters Association here in Orlando, and I just happened to run into my friend Mike Farris, and we are going to be talking about a project that he's been working on that I could not be more excited about. Mike, welcome.
Hello, Heidi. It is always a pleasure to be with you for any purpose whatsoever.
He's trying to wake me up because I'm real tired, so he's going to do it with compliments today.
That's right.
I appreciate that. You have a brand new project out. It's called American Civics with Michael Farris. And I'm laughing about this the other night because I told my husband, I said, well, apparently he has not had his Napoleon moment yet, where you survey the territory and say, my work here is done.
Yeah.
And it's not enough that we haven't quite carved your face into Mount Rushmore, but, I'm going to head up the commission to do that. Just so you know, I will be doing that. You have a passion, obviously, for liberty. The homeschool movement is a freedom movement. It really is. And you've spent your life fighting for freedom. And now you're turning your attention to teaching the rising generation, as Thomas Jefferson called it, civics. How did this project come to be? Tell us a little bit about it, because I'm excited.
Well, I taught a series on constitutional literacy for homeschoolers about 10 years ago.
Savannah took it. My oldest daughter did.
She was brilliant then.
Well, I think so.
The guy that invented Oculus
took
my high school con law course.
Oh, man.
And, he's a billionaire. So your kids will turn out.
Yeah.
Take my courses. Your kids will be billionaires. The
odds are ever in your favor.
Yeah, that's right. But the need for civic education is just self-evident. People don't know how government works, and they don't know what they should do about it. And I'm not interested in filling a knowledge vacuum. I'm interested in getting people equipped to go do stuff.
Get off the bench.
That's right. Exactly.
I love that.
You should start a program called that.
I should.
Okay. And so it's civics with a purpose. The program is divided into 3 sections. There's 25 episodes. They're about a half an hour each.
And you're teaching, so these are lectures that you're giving?
That's right. They're lectures interspersed with video that's relevant to the content. So it's
the
not
multimedia extravaganza.
It really looks cool. It's well beyond my capacity to even describe, much less do.
The trailer, you sent me the trailer, and I wish you could have seen the boardroom, because I'm sitting there with my team from the nonprofit, and I showed it to everybody, and we were cheering.
Yeah.
We were cheering. We were cheering at the end of it. I was like, yes! So here's my friend Michael Farris, William Wallacing around the United States saying, get involved, get involved. Yes. I'm painting my face blue. I'm ready. Let's go.
It's exactly the right reaction. And so, but we have 3 chunks of lessons on regular civics, how voting works, how political parties work. And it's no holds barred. I tell the truth about political parties.
Get out.
I don't know I exactly say this, but I come really close that there are 2 parties in the country. There's the stupid party and the evil party. but it's pretty close to that.
Having just run for Congress, I could not have said it better. Yeah. This will be my new answer to every reporter that says, what did you think about running for Congress? Yeah. I'll say, well, I've learned there's a stupid party and there's an evil party.
That's right.
Yeah. Excellent.
And so, but we talk about the regular civics education and especially the fact that there are huge opportunities if people just turn out and vote. Because, the Virginia election recently, 16% of the eligible voters elected the governor.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, and it was high profile, very contentious national election, 16%.
This is Youngkin.
Yeah. And so and we won, the Republicans won the control of the state legislature literally by like 80 votes. 80 votes changed the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So, but if we turned out, if believers turned out, if 80% of us was registered and 80% voted, the 80 of the 80 voted, we would control almost every election in this country.
Good grief.
It's just, there's a huge opportunity. And so, those kind of facts and that kind of activity and how to do it is in the first section. The second section is constitutional knowledge on how government works and how it should work and what you should know about your rights. I do two different series on the 2 different episodes on the Bill of Rights and what it means. And so there's a whole episode just on the First Amendment.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
My belief about this is, you're always hearing me say you can't pass on what you don't possess. We
Right.
can't give the next generation what we don't have. And it seems to me that we're in the fix that we're in the country right now, by and large, because my generation really doesn't know we don't even know our rights are being taken from us because we don't know what they are. And so when the government operates outside of its jurisdiction and you see executive order after executive order happening and the Congress just rolling over and letting that happen, and then people who are my age in their 50s and older are like, well, I guess that's the way it works, but that's not the way it's supposed to work, is it?
It is not. I mean, the most important rule of any form of government was the Women's Committee at the church, or it's the Student Council at Patrick Henry College, or it's the UN, or it's the American Congress. The number one rule is who has the power to make rules? Yeah. And Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution says all legislative authority is vested in the Congress of the United States. And so there are 50 books. It takes 50 books to publish the entire set of the U.S. law that have been passed by Congress, all those that are currently in force. There are 200 volumes of the law passed by the administrative agencies.
Wow.
And so, wait. All law is supposed to be passed by Congress, but it's only 1/5 of the law is actually passed by Congress.
Right.
80% of our current laws are enacted by nameless, faceless bureaucrats.
So where does Father Fauci, the high priest of the Branch Covidians, fall in that?
Well, he would be a first cousin of these administrative laws. This is called,
and yet he basically
plain old edict. It's
Yes.
it's what I'm reading a book called The Psychology of Totalitarianism. And they call it rule by decree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the nature of a totalitarian state.
And that's what's happening.
That's exactly what's happening. And so I go into totalitarianism a bit and talk about the distinctions between various kinds of authoritarian governments. And one of the reasons that it's clear that we're living in a place where it would be fair to say the shadow of totalitarianism is descending. We're not all the way there. We have a lot of opportunities still. But
we got to take every one of them.
Absolutely. But the COVID situation was a perfect example of how totalitarian thinking really works, because the difference between authoritarian governments, like a regular dictatorship, and a totalitarian is the dictator just wants to control what you do. The totalitarian government wants to control what you think, what you say, and what you believe. And so if you said the wrong thing...
Hey, enter
COVID,
YouTube.
Yeah. Exactly. That's right. It's a combination of technological totalitarianism and bureaucratic totalitarianism.
Okay.
And so it is every bit as insidious as if there was a single guy like Stalin or Hitler running the place. But we're descending into it, and so
we let it happen. I mean, in the name of safety, this is how they did it, right?
Exactly.
This is what Hitler did when they burned the books, right? It's the same. They use an emergency to say, well, here's what we're going to do now. We're on the precipice of this with gun violence. It's just going to take 1 or 2 more major episodes for somebody to go, well, this is how it is now, and it's very frightening. And I think one of the things I love about you and the way that you teach is you make this so that the layperson can pick it up and really wrap their arms around it and understand it.
Well, I feel like God's given me the gift of translation. I can read Supreme Court cases and then translate them into regular people.
Yeah.
But so the third section is right in where we're going right now, and that is worldview. So there's a section on civics, a section on constitutional knowledge, and a section on worldview. And you have to bring all those things because you want to elect a person that has the right worldview. And if you don't have the right worldview, how are you going to judge theirs?
Yeah. Right.
And so, there's a whole lot of components of a proper Christian worldview. It covers every aspect of life: how you use your money, how you treat your kids, how you treat each other as spouses. There's, Christian worldview is comprehensive. I'm talking about the component of Christian worldview in this sector.
Yeah.
In the sector of civics and public life.
Are you addressing the Christian worldview that we've seen very prevalent in recent generations that says, "Hey, we don't do politics. We don't get involved in that." Are you tell me that you're touching on that?
Oh, absolutely.
Sitting on it. Just sit on it for a while.
Well, I think repeating it almost every time would be the right way to say
right.
it. Because the simple biblical answer to it is Proverbs 3:6. In all thy ways, acknowledge him. There's no asterisk and footnote at the bottom page. Well, all thy ways except public life. Raise your kids according to Christ. Raise your, run your business in a godly, God-honoring manner. Do your finances in a God-honoring way. But
not politics.
But not politics.
Yeah.
Don't vote in a way that has anything to do with
because they didn't mention the president in the Bible. So therefore,
right.
I just had this question, and maybe you absolutely can answer it better than me. But I had this question come in from a podcast listener the other day, and he said, "Listen, our job isn't to defend liberty. Nowhere is that in the Bible." And I was like, "Where is Michael Farris when you need him?" How do you answer the Christian with that catastrophic interpretation of their job as a believer?
Well, the clear principle. First of all, the example is in the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul was being improperly prosecuted by the Jewish people. He's a Roman citizen.
He appealed to Rome.
He appealed to Rome, and he stood on his rights. And he did it so that he'd preserve his ability to teach the gospel. And so the defense of our rights, the rights came from God. And basically, we're really not defending our rights as such, if we want to understand it correctly. These are God-endowed both rights and duties. And so with the right of free speech comes the duty. There's a coupling. With the right of raising your children, you have a parental right to raise your children. You have a duty to do it. And so rights are always coupled with duties. And
that's something we don't talk about anymore.
We don't talk about that
No
anymore.
one talks about duty.
Yeah.
It's like talking about hell in church. No one wants to talk about that either.
And so, with our God-given duties comes our God-given rights. And we have the responsibility to carry out that in a comprehensive fashion. It would be like saying, well, I don't have the right as your parent to tell you what to do, to your 8-year-old.
Right. So says the state of Washington.
Yeah, so says the state of Washington.
Yeah.
Well, the Bible makes it really clear that we're to acknowledge God and to follow him in all of our ways. In the book of Deuteronomy, there's instructions given on how to pick a king. And it gives you the criteria.
And they did it badly.
That's right. In the book of Hosea, it says that God was, hear, O Israel, you're going to be judged again. And why are you going to be judged? Because they picked kings without my permission and princes without my consent. Okay, so, we can be punished.
We're there now. We're
punished for not picking correctly. And so the answer is God gives us comprehensive duties in life. And so this course will give you a thorough foundation and all that. And so the biblical worldview is the third part. And we're going to, in apologetics for the Christian view on abortion, on the gender issues that are sweeping our country. All those will be covered in sufficient detail. Not, nobody needs to be an expert, but you need to be able to have a conversation with your neighbor.
How many weeks is this?
It's 25 lessons, and there's a...
So it's a quarter.
It's really more like one a week kind of a thing, because there's
I see what you're doing.
There's a textbook that goes with it. It's about 400 pages, and there's reading materials that you can get. So it's really a year-long high school course in civics.
So when I saw the trailer for it, I mean, I already told you, we were hooting and hollering, and I'm like, there's my friend Michael Farris and his William Wallacing. I feel like this is something that adults need. I mean, we've done this for the high school student, which they absolutely need.
Right.
But a parent who does this with their child, or let's say a parent does it at a homeschool cooperative, or a church offered the class on a Sunday night, a class in civics, I think it would be an extraordinary thing to be able to say, hey, here's something that you may not have a full understanding of. This is an opportunity to do it. So it's not just for high school students.
It's not. And the the precursor of this was my constitutional series. In fact, the young man that did that with me is producing this one. It was his first job ever. It was a summer job as going into his senior year at Patrick Henry College, and he's now been very, very successful. He does videos for Hillsdale College, for Dennis Prager, all kinds of people.
Amazing.
And he's very successful. And now owns his own studio and has a bunch of employees.
Part of what you have done, I think, and I think this is true even in a course like this, is it encourages independent thinking, which guess what? Results in entrepreneurship. Right. It results in, it's a freedom movement across the board.
It is. And the reason I went into all that is that the first series was shown in adult Sunday school classes, in tea parties, and a lot of adult settings. And so the program, you'll have options to either buy just the video. Mm-hmm. And so like if it's an adult group, that would be my recommendation. Mm-hmm. Just get the videos and show it to your Sunday school class.
Is there a way to do video and like a discussion guide? So let's say all you wanted was the video piece and you're going to show it to your church on a Sunday evening. Yeah. A discussion guide's a good idea because then we're asking questions at the end, right? And we're saying...
We can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. There is time to add that on.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
And you're welcome.
You're done. But if you want the in-depth high school course...
Comes with the textbook.
Comes with the textbook and all of that. So, we're really excited about it, and I think it's going to be just terrific. And I'm, wrapping it up, and it'll be done before the school year's ready this year.
Yeah.
And we're recording this a little ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very excited about the content, and very excited about what's going on in our country.
I'm excited that you're here to sort of lead the charge on this because it's going to have a generational impact. I mean, I believe more now than ever, having run for Congress and seeing, I spoke, as you well know, all over Washington State about the Constitution, and I spent more time talking about the history of this country and our constitutional rights and the idea of jurisdiction, just trying to educate people. And when you see their eyes open and they realize, oh my goodness, it motivates. It's a motivating factor, and I think that's what this is going to do. This needs to be in churches. It needs to be in homeschools, obviously, but beyond that, I think it's going to have a tremendous impact in the culture, and we're coming up into a very important election cycle just next year.
Yes, indeed. And so if we can, encourage more people to just know what they're doing, know how to vote. I mean, I'm not going to tell you the candidates, obviously, but this is how to do it. You go check out their websites, you ask them questions, you look what they say, ask them the question, what do you think the purpose of government is? And if they say the purpose of government is to provide for your needs, they're a socialist. If they say the purpose of government is to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or life, liberty, and property, or to protect your God-given rights, that's the kind of thinking the speaking that you want to hear.
Yeah. I want you to address something really quickly because I got another question. And since I have you here, I'm taking advantage. I know I'm taking advantage of you. A young person asked me the other day, what is so wrong with socialism? He was like, listen, some of the most amazing countries in the world are socialists. In fact, he said, I'd go so far as to call myself a communist. And I was like, we have failed at this generation. Right. What is wrong with socialism, which is, communism, socialism, just communism light? Why is it so important that we educate people about the dangers of socialism and communism?
Socialism or communism, by nature, intrinsically, are opposed to freedom. You cannot have freedom and socialism at the same time. There's a case that I like to teach when I teach a full constitutional law course, and it came from the state of New York, and it went to the Supreme Court of the United States. It involved a welfare mom. And the welfare mom was required as a condition of getting government assistance to let the government officials come into her house and just search at random whenever they wanted. And so it's a clear violation of her Fourth Amendment rights. The Supreme Court divided on the question, but they sided with the government, saying if you're going to take the government money, you forfeit your constitutional
Which is why
rights.
we don't want homeschoolers taking government money for homeschooling.
Yeah, exactly. Not.
Yeah.
And so but my classes were always split on it. We're going to protect our rights, or we're going to,
Or we're going to take the money.
But I got them all to agree on this. Do you see what the problem is here? When you introduce a socialist system, your rights are second place. And so freedom and socialism they are
incompatible.
Yeah. And so if you don't believe that, read Alexander Solzhenitsyn, The Gulag Archipelago. Read Witness by Whittaker Chambers. Read The Psychology of Totalitarianism, a brand new book. Or just look at Finland today, where they're criminally prosecuting a member of parliament for simply tweeting out a literal picture of the Bible.
Yeah.
She tweeted out the book, Old Testament passages on homosexuality to her own church. Her husband is a Lutheran pastor. And
they're prosecuting her.
And they are criminally prosecuting her. That's what socialism will give you. It is inherently, because if government is the source of your needs, then God's not the source of your needs. Mm-hmm. And a government that believes that government is the solution for all things, which is the basic essence of socialism.
Mm-hmm. It's today's Democrat Party, too.
Exactly.
It absolutely
they are socialists. And unfortunately, too many Republicans are socialist light.
Yep.
And so it is incompatible. So if you believe that you should make more of your decisions and the government should rarely, if ever, make any decisions for you, then you really don't want socialism. But if you think the government will take good care of you and you're okay
like they did in COVID.
Like they did in COVID.
Thank you, government.
If you want them making your medical decisions, your educational decisions, your spiritual decisions, your speech decisions, then embrace socialism, because it's all for you. If you want to be a part of a mass that does not think for itself, embrace socialism, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And this is the time. I mean, this is the time to be teaching the rising generation civics and to be getting a refresher course for those of us in my generation and older, to be saying, hey, we can't pass on what we don't possess. And really, time is running out because we're getting more and more of these people elected who believe in socialism and communism every year in the United States, more and more of them.
Yeah, I was in the Soviet Union in 1988 on a religious freedom mission.
Wow.
And we smuggled in a few Bibles. And I went to a church on Sunday, and one of the guys at the church said to me, Ruski Biblios, which I knew what he meant. We want to know
if you have a Russian Bible.
And so we, through sign language and twisting my watch and kinds of stuff, I met him at a metro stop across the street from my hotel at 2 o'clock after church. And I wrapped the Bible in a T-shirt, and he was afraid and I was afraid. And he got the Bible and he took off. He was risking his literal life and the life of his family to get the Bible.
Wow.
That's what socialism does for you. If you want to live in a state where you have to hide to get the Bible, it's, you wrap it up and you're afraid. And if you get caught, you're dead. If you want to live in that kind of a country, then embrace it indeed. And that's where we're headed, because we're now being told you can't preach the word of God in fullness. That if you say these things that are incompatible with the socialist agenda, with the woke agenda, and the left's not making any pretense about it.
No, and I'm looking what's happening to our neighbors in the north in Canada. It is very scary what's going on in Canada right now. There was a young man who was talking about transgenderism right on the streets. He was there first, and he was basically attacked by a transgender mob. They violently attacked him, and the police arrested the Christian.
Yeah,
that's who they arrested.
Yeah, and that's just like India today. Christian kids on a train going to summer camp. A Hindu mob attacks the train, pulls the Christians in they had camp counselors and stuff with them, adults with them. They arrest all the Christians, including the kids, because the mob attacked them.
Yeah,
and
it's
so,
unbelievable.
And so you want to live in a totalitarian, you want to live in a communist country, socialist country, that's what you're going to be looking at, because they will come for you.
Yeah, freedom isn't free.
That's right.
It needs to be defended. Mike Farris, you're a national treasure. I mean it. I'm going to be heading up the commission to add this guy's face to Mount Rushmore. I cannot wait for this series to come out. And
I'll be happy with a bobblehead. How's that?
A bobblehead. Oh, man. No, I'm working harder than that. I'm going to work at least as hard for that as you've been working for this country for some 40 plus years. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of this project. I cannot wait to see how far it goes and the lives it changes. I think it's trajectory changing. Check it out, American Civics with my friend Michael Farris. Thank you for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Bless you, Heidi, and thank you so much for your help with this project.
I can't wait to see what happens.